All right, let's get going. Do you believe in ghosts?
Yes, they're biblical.
They are. Yeah.
Yeah. The Witch of Endor. She called up, what's his name's ghost? Yeah, the king, the former king. What's his name?
The Witch of Endor. She brought up Samuel, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I said king.
Prophet.
It wasn't king. It was prophet. My bad. Yeah, I brought up Samuel's ghost.
The Witch of the Ewoks. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
The Ewok witch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do I believe in ghosts? Yes, I think so. I don't think they are what we perceive as far as like television and movies and whatnot. But as far as a spirit or something like that. Yeah. I think that is a thing. Yep.
All right.
What do you guys got?
This is the way.
This is the way.
Wow. Okay.
Uh-oh.
I feel like he's made a point.
Yeah. Wow. I don't think we're going to get an answer.
I don't. Raymond, you got to take off the helmet.
But this is the way.
Yeah, we can't even hear you.
Okay. Sorry.
Yeah, there we go. There we go.
He gave up.
Now I'm kicked out of the creed.
Nice.
Oh man. I guess the podcast is worth it.
Yes, the podcast is worth it.
Okay. Well,
all right. Cool.
I'll get in on the action over here.
Get in on the action.
See if
turn off your blaster or whatever that is.
Oh, yeah, you can hear it.
Yep. There. Whoa. Yep.
There we go.
There we go.
All right.
Okay.
All right.
So just real quick, let's go around and say who we are.
Yeah.
I mean, we've got. Well, we'll come back.
Yeah,
we'll come back.
This guy has been staring at me the whole time. I felt safe in the helmet. Now, not so much.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. All right.
Okay. Yeah, he just moved. He just moved.
So I guess you're Eric.
Yeah. So
Mountain Dew.
I've got my Mountain Dew here,
and you're bald.
I am bald. This is the wrinkliest bald head
that
you can possibly have right here.
And for lack of better words.
For lack of
better words. Yes.
Yeah. So I'm
cool.
I feel like I should be sitting over there though.
I know.
Oh,
that's trade spots. Yeah.
But this guy was sitting, so I didn't want to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I am Dead Lee.
No. No.
My outfit is a pun.
Oh my goodness.
Deadly.
That's funny.
Yeah.
The glasses on the eyes. Yeah, that's great.
Not shit like that.
Like the emoji Lee over here. It's ridiculous.
Nice.
I am a Mandalorian. That's from Star Wars. I am not Mando. Popular to some people, they think I'm just Mando. That's Din Djarin, not who I am. I have not come up with a name yet. I'm just a random Mandalorian.
Mando.
Yeah, Rando Mando.
Yeah.
Yes. And so that's
cool.
I'm here because I'm a big Star Wars nerd.
That's fair.
Yeah. I love it. Keep it up. Oh my goodness, this guy.
And then Michael Myers.
You know what? I'll just, I speak peace over you, whatever's happening in there. And maybe if we speak peace long enough, he'll join us. But I think this is Michael Myers, or it's a really creepy Star Trek costume.
It totally could be Shatner.
It is. It could be Shatner. I think he just might have the mask on backwards. I don't know. But yeah. So I think we should get this show on the road.
Yeah, Mike, you want to
lead us in?
Yeah, lead us in to welcome to the podcast.
All right, creepy crawlies, haunted nightmares, phobias of all shapes and sizes plague us all. It may be clowns, tight spaces, or sharks. Whatever they are, today we face our fears. Guys, this is such an appropriate, topic. It's almost like it was planned.
Yeah.
I don't know what you're talking about. I just showed up this way.
Love it when a plan comes together.
Yeah. Man.
My bald brother from another mother.
I know, right? Dude,
Nice.
I honestly am going to have a hard
I'm
time because
liking
I'm
it,
not
dude.
going to be able to figure out which one's
liking it.
which.
Yeah.
It's
My
going to be hard.
doppelganger.
Although my wife did say no.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, of course.
She's like, you have the lumpiest head. No.
Wow.
You can still grow hair on top, so you got
Yeah,
that
yeah.
like going for you.
Yeah. Man, today, obviously, we're going to be talking about fears. Sometimes, we have crazy fears, big fears, and sometimes they're little. But, today we're going to figure out what is our greatest fears.
Just in time for Halloween.
I know, just in time.
Today is.
No, tomorrow.
Tomorrow's the day.
Oh, it comes out. Yeah,
Tomorrow's
tomorrow.
Halloween.
Yeah.
Yep. So,
So,
everybody just listening in just in time for the spooky day. We're in costume because we figured there's no better way to, do this podcast for Halloween other than just dressing up in some goofy stuff.
I'm fun with it.
Yeah, just having a little bit of fun.
Yeah.
I think we'll kick it off and just, jump into something I think all of us can relate to, which is being afraid as a kid. When we were little, there's a lot of things that probably scared us, but specifically, what were you most afraid of when you were a kid?
As a kid.
Yeah.
meatloaf.
That's it. Yeah, this is
Staying in
good.
character.
Nice,
I
that's
like
good.
it.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like
Nice
it.
call back there.
Yeah.
Yeah. The meatloaf is a problem.
Being left behind.
Ooh,
Dude, for
yes.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like we always got to the grocery store and we wanted to go to the toy aisle so bad. So we just begged until finally that moment we were released or we escaped, whichever one you want to call it. And then you realize you've been there for a minute and you haven't seen your mom. Oh yeah. What's happening? And then you're like, oh no, I got to go find my mom. Maybe she left me. And you go literally aisle to aisle looking back and forth to see if you can find her. And you can't find her. And then you're like, I got left behind.
Dude, I will piggyback off that. And my greatest fear was being left behind because of the rapture.
Oh my gosh.
And when I was a kid, I grew up in a Southern Baptist church that played some rapture movies. And back in the day, and they were actually, as a kid, they were super scary. Nowadays, super cheesy. But I can't even remember the name of those movies, but they were horrifying. I mean, people getting their heads chopped off. I mean, it was brutal. I mean, they didn't show everything, but it was just like the implication of everything. And as a kid, you're like, whoa, dude. So yeah, there were times when I would be shopping with my mother, who was the world's biggest shopper, and we'd be shopping and I'd turn around because, I'm playing in the clothes or doing whatever I'm supposed to not be doing.
Right.
And I turn around and she's gone and my sister's gone. And I'm like, oh no. The rapture has happened. I was not doing what I was supposed to be doing, and now
You got left.
I got left behind.
Yeah.
And then I don't know if you've ever heard the song, "Left Behind" by what's his name, Norman, Larry Norman. Yeah, it's a kind of a creepy song. Maybe we should listen to it just in time for Halloween.
Any song talking about that's probably creepy.
Yeah. But so those were some fun times, or you'd wake up from a nap or whatever and go out and then the whole family's gone. And you're like, what is going on? And
No one left a note.
no one left a note. And you're like, they must have just been snatched up into the, into the heavens. The trumpet sound and I didn't hear it.
So what I'm hearing is your family one time when you take a nap need to just leave pile of clothes
Yeah.
in random places around the house.
One sitting half on the couch watching TV, one's on the toilet.
That would be crazy. Yeah, I mean, that was as a kid, obviously. But I mean, as
That'd
a
be a
kid,
good joke though.
I was pretty terrified of being left behind.
I
Apocalypse.
like most kids, I think I was most afraid of dark places that I was unsure what's there. But specifically, I remember the thing that freaked me out the most is at night when my parents would be like, hey, take this out to the trash. And my trash can was around the side of our house through a big gate. And there was very often multiple raccoons hanging out in the area trying to get into our trash can.
Waiting for you.
Oh, dude. And I was so scared because
They're
early on in my life, there was a guy who told me a story about how his dog, which was a Doberman, they went out to the creek bed and somebody had released a raccoon from a raccoon trap just up the way, and the raccoon took off, and his dog saw it and took off after it as well. And he literally saw the dog tackle the raccoon, and it rolled over on its back, and the raccoon used its claws and gutted his dogs. Like literally everything just fell out and the dog died immediately. And he told me that when I was a kid. And so ever since then, I was so scared of raccoons.
Yeah.
And so when they asked me to
That's
take
fair.
that trash out, dude, I was like, I'm going to die. The coons are going to get me.
They're going to gut you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I, as a kid, dude, there was nothing more scary than a raccoon. And I remember like talking to some, like my mom signed me up for something and they wanted to make sure I was like a healthy kid mentally. Like there was nothing wrong or something. I forgot what it was for, but that was one of the questions. What, like, do you have any really fears that don't make any sense? Right. And I was like, I really don't like raccoons.
But that fear makes sense after
Yeah.
that story.
Not to her. She was like, why? You know?
Well, let me tell you the story why.
Yeah, I didn't explain, but
Oh, raccoons are aggressive.
they are.
Or they can be. Yeah.
I've got over that fear.
Nice.
I have fed them by hand, so
They
I've gotten
nice.
over that fear. But man, as a kid, dude,
No, I hate raccoons.
Man, y'all remember the gas station?
that's that's where I got
gas-
over my fear.
Yeah.
I just let them surround me, and I had bread. Yeah, I mean, I
like,
didn't do any of that.
Come
I
to me,
kept my
raccoons.
distance.
Yeah,
did
because
not
you weren't
feed
supposed to,
To me,
but
Chuckle Friends.
yeah, yeah.
They were awesome.
What was I afraid of as a kid, man?
Going bald.
Yeah, I mean,
What are you talking about? He was bald as a kid.
yeah, I went bald early. Oh man, I think all my fears were like based off of movies.
Yeah,
I was like Candyman.
Based on
like,
what you've
you
told
can't
us,
say,
yeah,
like
I can see why.
Candyman and yeah.
what's a
Nightmare
Horizon? Whatever that was.
Oh, Event Horizon.
Event
Yeah,
Horizon.
yeah.
Yeah.
Still haven't seen that.
You know, Nightmare on Elm Street.
Golly, dude.
I lived on Elm Street like, as a kid.
Yeah.
And like, you know, and so it was-
The Elm Street.
yeah, I lived on an Elm Street. I don't know if it was the Elm Street, but I did live on an Elm Street.
I'm afraid my Elm Street.
I'd
is
be
the
done
Elm
if
Street.
I lived on
Yeah.
Elm Street and a movie came out and about that, and
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
my street. I'm moving. Mom, Dad, see you later. I'm gonna figure out something else.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's been fun.
It's been great.
Bro, and I don't know. There was some like not irrational fears, but things that we were told as kids that didn't turn out to be as big as I thought they would be. Like, you know, how many like random people are going to be like shoving drugs down your throat and razor
You're gonna
blades and,
get kidnapped.
candy and
Yeah.
you know all the things that they were like, oh, here's what the world's going to do.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some bad things in the world, but like none of those things. Like I've never seen quicksand, but you know,
Yeah.
makes
So
it seem like
As a kid, you're
Yeah.
terrified. You're going
Yeah,
out in the
it's
woods.
like,
You're like,
yeah.
oh no.
Dude, if I step in the wrong spot, I
Yeah.
will never be heard from again.
Yeah. So yeah,
I,
that was me as a
it's every time you walked in an area that looked like kind of an alley, you're like, there's definitely going to be a boulder.
yeah.
It's going to come rolling down at any moment.
Yeah. So most of my fears were based off movies, I think.
Okay. Well, I mean,
Yeah.
how has that transitioned to like adults, right? Like we still have fears. So is there something you're
Yeah.
most afraid of right now?
Like as an adult versus when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Did you do your kid one?
yeah, he did. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, what was it? Oh,
I actually don't remember now. We're terrible. Yeah,
It was
because
me,
you
dude.
piggybacked.
Remember?
You piggybacked off.
Yeah.
duh.
And now I'm
Wow.
Dude. Well,
Okay.
you
Being left
guys
behind.
know. It's all that matters.
Yeah, getting left behind.
Getting left
My bad.
behind.
Oh yeah,
My bad.
getting left
You
behind.
started
in
us
the
out.
You
store.
started us out. Yeah.
That's right, in the grocery store. Golly.
As an
Apparently-
adult,
Was
my
it-
fear is being left behind. No.
Was
As an
It's like-
adult, my fear is
Being
becoming,
forgotten.
Yeah, being
is
forgotten.
forgetting.
Yeah.
Not being forgotten, but
That's,
forgetting.
Yeah.
that's actually a good one to
is.
forget things.
Alzheimer's,
Yeah.
you know. Ugh.
But you won't know.
Come on now.
It's true. I think as an adult, there are certain fears that I had as a kid that I still as an adult. Like I'm afraid of heights.
Yeah.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
mean, I like roller coasters and stuff like that, and then going, all that. And I guess that's the thrill of it. But I found out when I went to Chicago, and you go to Sears Tower, there's that little glass alcove that you can walk out on. Like my body wouldn't let me go.
Dude,
I couldn't. Like I had to hold on to the wall behind me, and I think for the picture, I finally stepped out there, and then I jumped right back. So there's like this. I'm afraid of falling, I guess, for lack of better words. But like as an adult, so there's that, and that is also something that I had when I was a kid too. But I didn't realize how bad it was until I got in that building. But my fears are different in the sense that like my fear is not being able to protect my family in the moment where I need to the most.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
You know, like if there's a home invasion or, you know, whatever, like we'd all like to think that we're the hero, you know, when it's time to be. But my fear is, you see those movies, you hear those stories when you find out, you know, the guy that's supposed to protect their family is the first one they take out, and then they do whatever they want to the family, and you're like,
Guys, that are so
It's interesting.
Yeah.
You know, when we're little, I think a lot of our fears are physical. They're things that we see or, you know, can experience, like raccoon, you know, whatever. As we get older, I think it does shift to, I mean, they're just as real, but they're not like, it's not a physical thing. Like,
it's not tangible.
Other than like flying cockroaches, everybody's afraid of those. But like, I mean,
I have a student.
No, don't even. No,
He
don't
did.
even bring
Yeah.
it up.
We were at Whataburger.
oh,
Thanks.
And
Thanks for this.
there was a flying cockroach, came down, and he was throwing fries at it, and it flew down, and he grabbed it out of midair. And I was like, dude, kudos to you, sir. I couldn't have done it. He grabbed it, and then he went and threw it in the trash.
I thought you were going to say he took a bite.
No, did not. No, come on now. Come on.
Jason.
This is not the gross out episode.
I'm gonna move on from this. Hey, I have a fear as an
Okay,
adult.
fear's an adult. What'd you got?
Yeah. I too am deathly afraid of heights. Like I shut down as well. I get real shaky and I actually will black out if it's too high. Like I've been on top of an 8-foot ladder and started to.
Yeah.
It's not. I didn't do it by choice. The story behind it was actually I was not afraid of heights growing up, and I was in a military academy thing, and they were training us on.
you?
No, they were training us on rappelling. So you go down cliffs and stuff, and you have to know how to do that safely and get out of a situation. So we were spending the whole day rappelling off a 50-foot cliff, 30-foot, and 20-foot, and we did the smallest to tallest, right? So we did the 20-foot. It was not bad or anything. You have this guy called a belay guy. He's at the bottom of the cliff, and he's got the rope to, if anything happened, he pulls it, and you just start swinging. You're good. So we get to the 30-foot cliff finally, and I'm going down, and the gloves they have are kind of one size fits all, but I had small hands. So it was a little bit big on me. And so with rappelling, you got to grab the rope behind your back and keep that taut, as you're going. But it's near where the tension, and it runs through like a loop. Well, my glove, the extra part, got caught in that, and I couldn't move. And so
you were stuck.
Yeah, I was stuck. And finally I got it out. And when I did that, I just went to a free fall. And my belay guy was not paying attention. He was kicking around in the dirt. And I fell from almost the full 30 feet and hit the ground below. And at that point, I remember I was so afraid when I fell that even though it was like just not even I don't even think it was a second. I mean, you fall fast.
Yeah.
But it felt really like a long time. And I remember just thinking, I was like, I'm dead. Like I'm going to die from this. Cause there was nothing but rocks and roots below me. There was no soft ground. There was no patchy grass. We were on rock.
Yeah.
And so I did have a helmet, but nothing else. Like there was just a helmet and some gloves. And so I remember hitting the ground on my back and just sharp pain shot through my whole body.
As it should.
And then I just kind of blacked out for a moment. I wasn't sure what was going on. And when I woke up, everybody was around me, like surrounding me and stuff. And all I can explain it is like, it felt like a miracle because I was able to walk away with nothing but maybe a couple bruises and I was fine.
Wow.
But ever since then, anytime I got near something high, like my brain just resulted to that reflex.
I can see that. Trauma will do that.
Yeah.
Trauma,
and so
for sure.
ever since then, I cannot do heights. I just won't. Like, so people joke about skydiving and bungee jumping, and I'm like, no, I'll go to jail because I'll probably hurt you before that all happens.
Right. If they're going to force you to.
Yeah. So
Yeah, I feel like I'd love to go to the Burj Khalifa, the tallest building in the world in Dubai. And there's a part of me that's like, yeah, I'll go up there. And like,
if it's solid,
I can't. I don't know.
If it's solid and I feel safe, I'm good. But glass, I don't do glass.
No, yeah, where you can see everything.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, like there's some like personal bridges and not personal, but like people bridges in China over giant gorges, and it's
then
glass.
They fake crack.
Yeah,
the fake crack.
I can't stand it. They have the fake digital glass that cracks.
Yeah.
That's not nice.
It's not fun. Dude, I'd probably die from a heart attack.
Playing with fear. Yeah.
What about you?
I think my biggest fear, it's similar to you, is someone getting hurt. Like that's my like. Oh, you got to be careful. Like, don't do that.
Yeah,
like, I know where that leads.
Yeah,
don't do that. Yeah. So I think that's the biggest one. Just the pain for people I love.
Yeah.
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 Sorry, mine's like
Lee?
yeah. So
low ball there after like big high jump, but yeah.
No. It's
That's a big deal.
Yeah.
I have similar fears like that. I just went with the height one.
Yeah.
How about you, Lee?
Fear now. Well, for a while there, I've dropped some weight, but when I got a little heavier, I found out I was claustrophobic. Got in the back of I was working with some guys. This has been several years ago.
Yeah.
2009. I had a friend who had a Toyota Tacoma, and we were going for lunch to Burrito Factory over in Freeport. And I got in the back seat. No, I got in the back seat of his Toyota Tacoma. It was not a full back seat. It's an older Toyota Tacoma.
The one with the side seats?
Drop down.
Yes.
Oh, I hate those.
Yeah. And so I'm sitting on a seat that's essentially
they're
wide.
tiny.
And they're like, all right, get back there. And then they close the seat up. And when they close the seat up, I suddenly found out, oh, I might be claustrophobic because I broke out into cold sweat.
Yeah.
And I started hyperventilating. And I'm just like, and they're like, you good? And of course, it's a bunch of guys, so I got to tough it up.
Yeah.
Like, no, I'm good, man. Let's go. And then we get there and I get out and I'm shaky and I'm just like clammy and I'm just like, and then I'm like, and now I've got to get back in there and we have to drive back.
I would just switch. I'd be like, no.
Oh, dude, I did not. I went back in there and I just, And so I say that because just recently we went to the Seawolf Park and we got to go through that submarine. And there was a point in that submarine where had it been, I don't know, 2 years ago, I would not have been able to get through. I was like, there's just no way. Like, even if I turned sideways or whatever. So I was thinking to myself, like, thankfully I've lost some weight. So I was able to just kind of slide on through there. But I was like, dadgum, like, what would I have done?
Yeah.
And then just thinking about having to work in that environment, like in the real world, back in World War II, being on that submarine, I'm just like, whoa. Yeah, no, thank you.
Yeah,
I'm good.
No, thank you. Yeah, I mean, those manhole, the little entryways from each section, I mean, they were
small.
Yeah, 3 feet. And I'm having to tuck down and tuck everything up just to get through that little hole.
Yeah.
So I think, and it's not an everyday thing. It's not an all the time thing. I don't, like get in an elevator and start freaking out. But in certain situations, I do find myself like having to deal with that just welling up within me, which is interesting.
Yeah. I think things change, as we obviously some of our fears have changed, but we've also developed new ones as we've gotten older. Yeah. But, what is something that you used to be afraid of, like when you were a kid and stuff, but you're not afraid of now?
Death.
Yeah. I actually, I can agree with that.
It's like, bring it on. Let's go.
Yeah. It's one of those things that you just kind of come to terms with. But there are moments, even though most of the time I'm just like, I'm not really concerned about it. There are moments. Yeah. And I think it has to do with what your fear was earlier. What you leave behind. Yeah. If I think too much about what I leave behind, then I become afraid because then I feel like I'm the one who's supposed to be responsible for making sure they're okay.
Yeah. Knowing that your family's taken care of or not taken care of it.
I need to know that for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I would have to ditto that one, man. I think there was a unhealthy fear when I was a kid of dying because that's what we were always told. Don't go in the street. Don't do this. You're going to get killed. Like all that stuff. And so I was a little freaked out by like, I'm too young to die, And then now I've just learned a lot. And honestly, my faith has helped me a lot. Like,
like I saw Sam Neill is got cancer. Yeah. 76, supposedly dying of cancer, same cancer that my mother had. And he said that he's not afraid of death. And I'm like, but they gave no explanation of why. Yeah. Just like I've lived a long, healthy life. I've done things that I wanted to do and I'm ready to go. And I'm like, what? I mean, like for me, I got to know what's on the other side, Yeah. Like if I'm going to take that leap,
Yeah.
Please tell me. And I do know now.
Yeah.
I've been around death so much. I mean, like so many crazy scenarios. You know, I had a great uncle who passed away, and when he was passing away, the whole family was around him, and he just said, all of a sudden, he just kind of shot up, and he said, "I love Jesus, and Jesus loves me.
That's cool.
And I'm going to go be with him forever and ever and ever." And he just faded off, and he was gone.
Man.
And it was like, that's awesome. Like, it was awesome. So it was just like this cool.
Yeah.
You know? So that those situations and so many things I've seen and heard, you know, give me confidence. I'm not afraid of death anymore.
I'm also not afraid of raccoons anymore. I have a healthy respect of them.
Sure. As you should.
I'm not afraid.
As you should.
Yeah. Because now they're trash pandas.
They are.
Yeah, they're okay.
Kind of cute.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh, man. Something I was afraid of as a kid and I'm not afraid of now.
Being bald.
Yeah. I mean, it happened very gracefully.
Joke, right?
Yeah.
I know.
It's rad.
Yeah, it is rad.
Man.
It's got to keep it up.
Yeah.
I know, it's
just
like staying in character. I like
You
it.
gotta go with it, man. I don't know. Because I think most of the things I was afraid of as a kid were ridiculous. So, like, at some point, I realized
Squirrels.
No.
I was never afraid of squirrels.
They were awesome.
Rattlesnakes.
Oh,
Rattlesnakes. I mean, I think that's a healthy fear.
Yeah, that's-
Like,
yeah.
That's
you should be.
understandable. Yeah.
I definitely am afraid of rattlesnakes.
Cautious.
Yeah.
At the
Yeah.
least.
There's nothing. There's nothing about them that is like, oh, it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
All of it's a big deal.
I think,
Yeah.
I
Don't
think
mess with
I'll go along with you, Lee. I think death is probably the biggest thing. Not that I was like afraid of death as a kid,
Right. Yeah.
but you know that was always a thing, and I've been around death most of my life at this point. Like,
Yeah.
you know, from a little kid having to experience, you know, death of people I know very closely,
Right.
to very close family members, and you know, just in the last few weeks having to do again an immediate family member.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's not a fear in death, but like you said, there is some fear of what's left behind, and you know, did I live the life I was supposed to, and that sort of thing. I mean, those creep in. I'm more afraid of, you know, like someone I love dying.
Right.
I think that way.
For sure.
But yeah, as far as myself, not so much.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that is a good one, and of course, the same reason. Like I have a hope past death, and so
agree.
it kind of took some of that away.
Eric, my man.
It's gonna be so like
Try to follow that.
it's gonna be bad.
No,
It's
go
gonna
ahead,
be bad.
go ahead.
So it's death related, and I don't. Yeah, when I was young, I was afraid that I was going to die before I was able to drive or have sex, and I knew if I was going to wait till marriage that was going to be several years past getting my driver's license, and I kept thinking, God's got a sense of humor. Like he's going to let me drive, and then like on my way to my honeymoon, he's going to be like, "And you're coming home." So.
One of those ridiculous fears. Like, that's definitely going to happen.
Yeah. But then, you know, I've done since got my license and been married. So,
And he has kids, so
and that's right. I checked the box for being
All
able to have
adopted.
sex. So, I don't have that fear anymore,
Yeah.
per se. I guess my fears are different now.
Well, what are they?
They go back to like what we said before.
Oh,
yeah,
I guess. Yeah.
The fear you won't be able to drive or have sex.
I mean,
Yeah. It's just the same. It's just
gonna go
when you
out.
get old enough, it goes the other way, right?
It
Like,
it goes the other way. Yeah.
That's right.
I fear that I have to drive. Or I'm just kidding. No. So you know, we talk about like different things, and one of the things that stood out to me is we've kind of hinted at some of the things that have helped us overcome some of those fears. Like I think all three of us kind of mentioned that the developing faith has helped us overcome one fear that I think everybody naturally has, which is death in general, which wasn't planned. We didn't plan on talking about death. It just naturally came up.
Yeah.
But now that we're on the subject, it's just, what are some ways that we can best overcome fears? Like any kind of fear at all. You know, obviously we talked about faith being the one that helped us overcome our fear of death. But what are some other fears that we may have in life, and how can we overcome those?
I think to me it goes. I mean, the faith aspect of it is a big deal for me because it's like, what's the worst that can happen? I can be killed. And it's like, and that isn't scary anymore. And so knowing that Jesus defeated death and hell, he made a mockery of the evil powers in this world on the cross, as it talks about in Thessalonians. Like, I just, it's like, what do you got? What can you throw me? It's nothing. It's nothing. And so, like, for me, when I found out like the whole claustrophobia thing, I just had to take it to the war. Like, I took it to the extreme. If you've ever seen Ghost Dog Way of the Samurai, random independent movie reference, but Ghost Dog Way of the Samurai, he sits there and he talks about, like, one of the things is to imagine yourself being killed in all these horrible different ways, and then facing that so that you can then go on and do whatever you need to do. And that's
Forrest Whitaker.
Yeah, good old Forrest Whitaker.
Yeah.
And so for me, that's the thing is, like, what's the worst that's going to happen? Claustrophobia, what's the worst that's going to happen? I'm going to die in here. I'm going to not be able to breathe and die. What's the worst that happens? And then once again, okay, that's the worst that can happen. I can face that and move on.
Yeah. I mean, I was going to say something similar and to one of the aspects of what you said, which was the face your fears thing.
Yeah.
Right. Like, they have a thing called exposure therapy.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I've used that in my own life because there's times where I had unhealthy responses to things, not necessarily 100% fear. It was more fear with anxiety or stress or something like that. And so exposure therapy was like a really great way of dealing with that.
Right.
To just become acquainted with the thing in which you have fear or anxiety over, and realizing it literally has no power over you. Like it can't influence or harm you in any way. So you kind of build that tolerance to and be like, oh, okay, the logical thing that's happening in my brain can be tamed and brought back to a logical place and be like, okay, this is not that big of a deal.
Right.
Yeah.
Face
them.
Yeah, face them for sure.
That's a good answer.
Yeah. It's the same answer. I mean, faith, I think, is a big one. Understanding what the fear is, what it is that you're actually facing. And, a lot of the times, a lot of our fears are irrational.
Yeah.
Right.
Are you really going to die before you get to drive? And, now it does happen, but,
Well, I think that the reason why that was, a quote unquote fear for me is because it was the most significant thing in my life at the time. I want to be able to drive. I want to be able to drive, I think
things.
The most, a lot of our fears probably are attached, and maybe I'm wrong, but as I think about this, a lot of our fears are attached to the most significant things in our lives.
Yeah. For sure.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Because, like, as I had littles, I remember hearing the story of the missionary that they were torturing to death. Renounce your faith, renounce your faith, renounce your faith, and it's no all the time. Well, then they brought one of his kids in, and began to torture him. Renounce your faith now, and I'm like, man, that
guys that are so
sick. So whenever I think that was when my kids were little, and so I'm thinking to myself, man, you would just want to tear apart heaven and earth to get to your child.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we're talking about, our faith.
Yeah.
And so it's when it gets to that moment, I want to be able to say yes to Jesus.
See you on the other side.
Regardless of what's happening to me or around me.
He's the Lord's, and so am I. And then let it be.
Lord obeys, the Lord takes away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No. I think that's the answer.
Yeah.
Now, I will say this because there are going to be people out there like, no, I have an actual
phobia.
Like phobia.
Yeah.
And, I mean, those things obviously.
That's why I talked about the exposure.
There are
all that. Yeah.
There are fears that we have that it's just part of who we are in this fallen world. And one day that'll all go away. But
my wife has a hilarious fear. It makes me laugh because it's a legit phobia. People have adverse reactions that they can't explain to visuals or textures, right? Mm-hmm. Hers is the growths that happen on potatoes. So any type of potato, there's like things that grow and start growing from them. Mm-hmm. And it literally makes her have crazy reactions. Like she's cried before, cottonmouth, that sweaty feel, like everything. Like it really freaks her out.
Interesting.
And I may have taken advantage of that a couple times.
As one should.
The craziest thing,
That was his Halloween costume last year. He was
Potato spud. Yeah. No, there was one time, it was so funny. She forgot that she bought sweet potatoes and she put them in her pantry and just like left them and forgot. And some bread got tossed on top of them or something. And she was in there cleaning out the pantry and she removed it. And I hear the loudest shrieking scream ever in the house. And I'm like playing video games and I hear it through my noise canceling headphones. Like I take those off and run. I'm like, what's wrong? And she's like almost crying. And she's like, we're the pantry potatoes. I go in, dude, they're like growing new potatoes. A whole forest in there.
Wow.
So I was like, wow. Okay.
That's crazy.
So talk about crazy.
We need to make a new
fears.
horror movie.
Yeah. The potato spud.
The potatoes.
Attack the
potatoes. It's just gonna be called Spud.
Yeah, no, spud. Yeah, it's a good one.
Nice.
Oh man.
Spuddy.
But I think there's sometimes too. Like I know we're some serious stuff, but there's some funny fears.
There
Like
are
just
funny
funny
fears out
stuff.
there,
I watch videos of people who are afraid of heights jumping out of airplanes because they're getting punished from a bet or a prank.
Yeah.
Oh man, it is the funniest thing to watch. I'm just like, you better not do it to me because you're all dead.
Well, there's a fear of being afraid.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, that's an actual phobia out there. Somebody's afraid of being afraid.
I want to be afraid. Oh,
Like, really?
They keep
like,
screaming.
But yeah, I mean, there's silly stuff out there.
Yeah.
It was like, what? I don't remember the name of it now. It was a fear of public speakers.
Oh my gosh.
There's like an actual
Not of
phobia
public
of
speaking, but of public
of public
speakers.
speakers, like hearing someone speak in public.
Yeah, it makes you freak out.
I don't know. Like where does that come from? I
don't even know.
I don't understand. But
The pit of hell.
I have a fear for TED Talks.
Fear is liar.
Yeah.
Whatever that song.
Yeah, that song. So on that note, literally.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. I love it. All right, so
For lack of better words.
this has
lack of better
been
words.
this has been a tribute podcast to just the season. I mean, we just want to talk up some stuff about the fears. We actually kind of had this idea of talking about our fears a long time ago. We were like, you know what, we're gonna hold off and give them something, something a little bit more
Deeper into the
Yeah,
fears.
Spooky season.
Yeah, spooky season. Get in there with it and had some fun with the costumes and whatnots. But thank you so much for being a part of this journey with us. This is 29 episodes so far, and next time is going to be 30. I can't believe we're almost there. And everybody who's been listening from day one,
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Yeah.
We actually have, I'll just make this announcement. We're a few podcasts away from this, but my goal is that when we hit 50 episodes, we have a never seen before episode that we recorded called The Pilot. It was the very first time we got together and we talked and we did a podcast. I'm going to release it when we hit 50 episodes.
It was
awesome.
a delicious episode.
Oh man, it was good. It was good. It was, but it was rough.
It was raw.
It
but
was.
it was
It was
delicious.
But that'll be our gift to you, saying thank you, everybody who's been there with us since the beginning. I still can't believe that next time is going to be 30 episodes. But man, this has been great. Thank you so much for being along for the ride, and we hope we didn't scare you away. So
This guy.
for the last time in the helmet, I have to say this is the way. And thank you for watching the 4THOUGHT podcast. Peace out.